The central chamber glowed with powerful energy. The human warrior Lily stood at its center, her presence calm and steady. The dragon Amber circled above, forming a protective aura. The elf woman Karen guided the flowing light around them, and the alien princess Mira watched close by, her fear now mixed with hope. The Emperor's forces waited outside, frustrated and unable to enter the chamber. Lily extended her hands toward the floating symbols she traced. Their patterns slowly and deliberately. She felt the ancient power respond to her intent. The walls hummed softly. The fortress itself seemed alive. Recognizing her as the rightful guide of the energy, Amber growled low and spread its wings to cover the entire chamber, creating a shield that no attack could penetrate. Mira stepped closer to Lily. She admitted her fear, but also placed her trust in the human warrior. She felt the calm energy spread through her own body and realized that courage and focus were more important than armies or weapons. The elf woman Karen guided the flowing light to strengthen the protective barriers and to direct the energy safely within the chamber. The Emperor grew impatient. He did not understand why his forces were failing. He sent more elite warriors into the fortress, but they were immediately repelled by the energy and the protective barriers around the human warrior. The glowing, "With the Emperor can buy. With the Emperor can buy. With the Emperor can buy. With the Emperor can buy." Walls shifted and moved, forming intricate patterns that no physical force could break. The fortress seemed alive and unwilling to allow intrusion. Lily focused on the energy. She felt it respond fully to her mind and intent. She traced the final patterns, and the symbols floated and rotated, forming a protective web. The dragon and the elf woman maintained their positions, ensuring the barriers were strong. The alien princess Mira stood close by, acknowledging the human warrior's control and guidance of the ancient power. Outside the fortress, the Emperor watched helplessly as his forces failed to breach the protective energy. He could see the glowing light from space and felt fear. For the first time, the human warrior's calm and steady presence influenced not only the energy inside the fortress, but also the structure of the moon itself. Lily paused for a moment to sense the full scope of the ancient power. She felt it flowing beneath her feet and around her hands. It was alive and responded only to clarity and intent. She understood that she must remain calm and focused to guide it safely. She felt a connection to the energy that had been waiting for someone worthy for centuries. Amber. The dragon let out a low hum as it sensed distant movements. The Emperor's remaining forces were trying to find a way into the chamber, but every attempt was repelled by the flowing energy. The elf woman, Karen, guided the light to form intricate patterns around the human warrior, creating a protective circle. The alien princess, Mira, felt her own courage grow as she witnessed the human warrior's focus. The Emperor sent his most trusted elite warriors into the halls. The fortress shook under the pressure, but the human warrior remained calm. She traced patterns and symbols with careful precision. The energy responded fully to her presence, and intent. The dragon and elf woman maintained the protective aura, while the alien princess observed. With growing hope, Mira admitted her fear, but also acknowledged the courage of the human warrior. She stepped closer, forming a protective circle around Lily. The fortress responded to this combined presence, and the energy grew stronger. The walls reflected the glowing light, forming an intricate pattern that no force could break. Lily felt the heartbeat of the fortress beneath her feet. The symbols floated and aligned with her movements. She understood the next steps were critical to control. The ancient power safely, the dragon, and the elf woman maintained the shield, while the princess provided quiet support. The Emperor's forces were unable to make progress. Amber extended its wings further, creating a dome of protection above the human warrior. The elf woman guided the glowing energy into intricate defensive patterns, and the princess stood close, adding her calm presence to the circle together. They formed a perfect balance of protection and control. The fortress seemed alive, responding to their collective energy. Inside the chamber, Lily traced the final patterns of the symbols. The energy flowed into her mind and body, fully responding to her calm and steady presence. The dragon circled above, and the elf woman directed the flow, while the princess watched in awe, understanding that they had achieved a balance that no army could overcome. The emperor realized his forces were failing. He could not breach the chamber. The human warrior controlled the energy, and the fortress itself resisted intrusion. The elite warriors returned, defeated, unable to pass through the protective barriers and the glowing patterns. The human warrior's calm presence had shifted the balance completely. Lily focused her mind and extended her hands to guide the energy fully. She felt the flow of the ancient power surrounding her. The symbols rotated and moved in harmony with her movements. The dragon and elf woman kept the barriers strong, while the alien princess stood near her side, acknowledging the human warrior's achievement. Outside the fortress, the emperor could see the glowing energy covering the central chamber. He realized that he had underestimated the human warrior's ability to control the ancient power. He could not find a way to overcome the fortress. The underestimate barriers or the protective energy surrounding the human warrior, and the fortress itself resisted all intrusion. Lily continued to guide the energy carefully and deliberately. She felt the ancient power align with her purpose. She understood that the proper control, this force could shape the future of many worlds. She maintained clarity and calm, as the dragon and the elf woman sustained the protective circle, while the alien princess felt hope for the first time. Amber. The dragon let out a low growl. Sensing the remaining attempts by the emperor's forces, it flapped its wings, creating a shield of energy and protection. The elf woman, Karen, guided the patterns of light around the human warrior. Forming intricate defensive structures, the alien princess Mira contributed her calm presence to strengthen the protective circle. Inside the central chamber, the energy continued to rise and respond fully to the human warrior's control. The fortress hummed with life and aligned itself with the calm clarity of Lily. The dragon maintained vigilance above, while the elf woman guided the light and patterns, forming an unbreakable protective barrier. The alien princess felt a quiet sense of peace as she witnessed the human warrior's strength and wisdom. The emperor could do nothing to overcome the glowing protective energy. The elite warriors could not enter the chamber. The fortress resisted all attempts to breach the central hall. The human warrior's calm and steady presence controlled the energy and influenced the fortress itself. The emperor realized that he had been outmatched. Lily continued to move carefully among the symbols, guiding the energy. Precisely, she felt the ancient power respond fully. She maintained calm, focus, and balance, while the dragon and the elf woman kept the protective barriers strong. The alien princess stood near her side, feeling hope and trust that the human warrior could bring peace and control. The fortress glowed and hummed, responding to the human warrior's calm presence. The dragon maintained vigilance. The elf woman guided the energy, forming intricate patterns of protection. The alien princess contributed her presence to strengthen the shield. The emperor's forces could not break through, and the ancient power responded fully to the human warrior's guidance. The human warrior had achieved full control of the ancient power. The chamber hummed with energy, and the fortress itself seemed alive, responding to her presence. The dragon, the elf woman, and the alien princess maintained the protective circle around her. The emperor could not breach the energy, and his forces returned, defeated. Lily stood at the center of the chamber, calm and steady. The energy flowed fully in response to her intent. She had aligned the ancient power to her guidance. The dragon and the elf woman sustained the protective barriers, while the alien princess watched in awe, understanding that the human warrior had changed the course of many worlds with courage, clarity, and calm determination. The emperor grew impatient. He could not understand why his forces were failing. The human warrior Lily stood at the center of the chamber, her presence calm and steady. The walls glowed in response to her energy. The elf woman Karen guided the light and symbols around the room, while Amber, the dragon, circled above, creating a shield of protective fire and presence. Mira, the alien princess, moved closer to Lily. She could feel the calm energy spreading through the chamber. She understood that the human warrior was not only powerful, but wise and careful. She felt hope for the first time that her world might be saved from destruction. The Emperor's forces could not breach the protective energy surrounding them. Outside the fortress, the Emperor ordered more attacks. He sent elite warriors into the chambers, but the light and energy held them back. The fortress seemed to awaken, as if it recognized the human warrior, and rejected all attempts to reach her. The machines hummed and moved, forming barriers and shifting the energy to defend the human presence. Inside the chamber, Lily moved carefully among the glowing symbols. She traced their patterns with gentle but precise movements. The energy responded to her intent and her purpose. The dragon Amber circled above, keeping watch and ready to act. At a moment's notice, Karen guided the light to form protective structures that the Emperor's forces could not penetrate. Mira spoke softly to Lily. She admitted her fear, but also her trust. She knew that the human warrior could control the ancient power, and that the survival of many worlds depended on the careful handling of this energy. She felt relief as she saw the calm and focus of Lily. The Emperor could not see the light or the protective energy. He saw only failure and frustration. His pride would not allow him to retreat. He demanded that the attacks continue. Yet every attempt was repelled by the calm strength of the failure, human warrior, and the protective force of the dragon and the elf woman. Lily paused at the center of the chamber. She felt the heartbeat of the fortress beneath her feet. The symbols glowed brighter, and the machines hummed. In response to her calm presence, she understood that the next steps were critical. The ancient power would respond fully only if guided with clear intent and steady heart. Amber let out a low growl and circled above the human warrior. The dragon's presence created a protective barrier that amplified the energy around Lily. The elf woman, Karen, extended her hands, guiding the light to form intricate patterns that strengthened the shield and deflected any attacks from the Emperor's warriors. Mira watched and realized that fear alone could not stop destruction, but calm, courage, and focused intent could influence outcomes beyond physical strength. She stepped closer to Lily and Karen, forming a protective circle around the human warrior. She felt hope that the human presence could bring peace and stability. Inside the central chamber, the energy continued to grow. The walls glowed, and the symbols floated in intricate patterns, responding to the human warrior's touch and focus. The dragon and the elf woman maintained the protective shield, while the alien princess watched in awe at the power being controlled by the human presence. The Emperor ordered his forces to push forward, but the fortress rejected all attempts. The human warrior's calm and clarity influenced the energy within the halls. The barriers moved and shifted according to her intent, making it impossible for the elite warriors to reach the center. Lily extended her hands toward the symbols. She traced their patterns with precision. The energy flowed through her and responded to her mind and heart. She understood that control of the ancient power required balance and patience. She felt the fortress itself recognizing her presence and aligning the forces to her guidance. Amber circled above the chamber, the dragon's eyes glowing faintly as it sensed every movement of the Emperor's forces. The protective aura around the human warrior strengthened with each step she took, and the elf woman guided the energy to form shields and patterns that no physical attack could break. Mira stepped closer. She felt calm, energy radiating from Lily. She realized that courage and wisdom were more important than weapons or armies. She admitted her fear to the human warrior, but also placed her hope and trust in her guidance. Chamber seemed to respond to the merging presence of the human warrior and the alien princess. The Emperor realized that his forces were failing. He could not breach the chamber. The protective energy and the calm strength of the human warrior prevented any progress. The fortress itself seemed alive, recognizing the rightful guide of the ancient power. The elite warriors could not advance, despite all efforts. Inside the chamber, Lily continued to move among the floating symbols, tracing patterns with her hands. She felt the energy responding fully. She understood that she must maintain calm, focus and balance to protect the forces and prevent disaster. The dragon and the elf woman kept watch and maintained the protective aura, while the princess stood close, observing the growing power. The energy in the chamber grew stronger. The walls reflected the glowing light. The fortress hummed and shifted. In response to the human warrior's movements, Amber extended its wings to cover a larger area, forming a shield of protection. Karen guided the patterns of light to strengthen the defense, and the alien princess allowed herself to feel hope. The Emperor could see the glow from the chamber, even in space. He did not understand the power that held his forces back. He sent more attacks, but they were repelled immediately. The fortress and the human warrior's presence acted together, forming an unbreakable defense against the elite warriors. Lily focused on the central symbols. She could feel the energy flowing into her and responding to her presence. The patterns shifted to match her movements. She understood that she must keep clarity and focus to guide the ancient power. Dragon, the elf woman, and the alien princess formed a protective circle that enhanced the energy and kept the Emperor's forces at bay. Mira admitted her fear openly, but also felt trust in the human warrior. She realized that fear alone could not stop destruction, but courage and focus could shape outcomes. She joined Lily and Karen in forming a circle around the energy, and she felt hope that peace could be restored through the human presence. The Emperor's frustration grew. He could not understand why his forces were failing. The human warrior's calm and steady presence controlled the energy and influenced the fortress itself. The elite warriors were unable to reach the A. With Finglers and Endersea to the Pastit of center, and the ancient power responded only to the human warrior. Inside the central chamber, Lily continued to guide the energy. She traced the symbols and patterns carefully and precisely. She felt the power fully respond to her presence. The dragon and elf woman maintained the protective shield, and the power alien princess stood close, acknowledging the significance of the human presence. The Emperor's forces could not penetrate the growing barrier. The fortress hummed and glowed with increasing intensity. The symbols and machines responded only to the calm and steady energy of the human warrior. Amber kept watch, protecting every angle. Karen guided the light, forming intricate patterns and shields, while Mira understood that the human warrior was now fully in control of the ancient power and capable of shaping the future of many worlds. Lily felt the power growing as she moved deeper into the moon fortress. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter with every step she took. The dragon Amber followed closely, and Karen walked beside her. The elf woman spoke quietly, explaining that the ancient forces would test anyone who tried to control them. They responded to intent and clarity, not fear or anger. Mira followed from a safe distance, her eyes wide as she watched the calm determination of the human warrior. She felt the weight of her own fear, but she also sensed hope. The ancient power seemed to recognize the human presence, and that recognition gave her courage. The princess realized that she had been mistaken to fear the humans solely because of her origin. The central chamber loomed ahead, with large doors covered in glowing symbols. The hum of energy from inside reached the walls around them. The human warrior touched the doors lightly and felt a pulse of life from the ancient mechanisms. The Procedus, dragon Amber growled softly, sensing the potential danger that lurked beyond the threshold. Outside the fortress, the Emperor's fleet hovered in the darkness of space. He could see the faint glow of the chamber beneath the moon. He felt frustration, as his forces had been unable to breach the inner halls. The elite warriors had returned from the failed attempts and reported the strange lights that protected the human warrior. The Emperor could not understand the forces he faced. Inside the fortress, Lily stepped through the central doors. She felt a rush of energy as the ancient machines responded to her presence. The glow illuminated the chamber, revealing strange structures and floating symbols. The energy seemed alive as it reacted to the calm and steady focus of the human warrior. Karen moved carefully alongside Lily. The elf woman's hands glowed faintly as she guided the flow of energy in the chamber. She explained to the human warrior that the ancient power would reveal itself fully only if approached with clarity and purpose. Amber curled around Lily and watched every angle, ready to defend from any threat. Mira took a deep breath and moved closer. She realized that the fear she had carried was being replaced by understanding and hope. She saw the human warrior as a force that could protect and guide rather than threaten her people. She stepped forward to stand beside Lily and Karen, acknowledging the importance of the human role. The Emperor watched from the entrance. He grew impatient and ordered more attacks. But the chamber resisted all attempts to breach it. The walls glowed brighter with each intrusion, and the elite warriors could not move forward. The warrior remained calm in the center of the room. Lily extended her hands toward the floating symbols. The energy flowed through her fingers and connected with her mind. She felt the rhythm of the ancient forces, like a heartbeat that matched her own intent. She understood that the power would answer only to someone who could balance strength, focus, and purpose. Amber let out a low growl as small attacks from the Emperor's warriors attempted to reach the chamber. The dragon's presence strengthened the protective energy, and the elf woman Karen guided the light to form barriers that moved in harmony with the human warrior's actions. Mira watched and understood that she had been wrong to fear the human solely because of appearance or origin. She realized that courage, clarity, and focus were far more important in facing the trials of power. She stepped closer and allowed her presence to merge with the protective circle around Lily. The Emperor's frustration grew as his attacks failed repeatedly. The chamber glowed with a soft but firm light. The walls seemed to respond to the human warrior alone. The energy shifted to form patterns and barriers that the elite warriors could not penetrate. The fortress itself seemed alive, recognizing the rightfulness of the human presence. Lily moved slowly among the symbols, tracing patterns with her hands. The energy flowed into her mind and body. She felt a connection to the ancient forces that had been waiting for someone worthy to guide them. She understood that the next steps would determine the balance of power across the galaxy. Karen spoke softly, explaining the history of the chamber, how the ancient beings had created these mechanisms to respond only to clarity and human intent. They had seen the failures of others who approached with fear or greed and had sealed the power against all who were unworthy. Amber circled the human warrior, maintaining vigilance as the Emperor's forces pressed from outside the chamber. Every movement of the dragon influenced the energy around the room, forming a protective aura that kept the elite warriors at bay. The human warrior felt the balance of strength and defense as she focused on the task at hand. Mira stepped forward and joined Lily and Karen in the center of the chamber. She felt the calm energy surrounding them, and began to understand that the future of her people rested in the hands of the human warrior. The fear she had known was replaced with trust and quiet hope. The Emperor sent more warriors, but the chamber glowed even brighter. The human warrior's presence directed the ancient forces that could only be guided by one. With human clarity and intent, each failed attempt by the Emperor's forces reinforced the bond between the human, the elf woman, the dragon, and the alien princess. Lily paused to let the energy flow around her. She felt a gentle vibration from the walls. The patterns of the symbols shifted to match her movements. She understood that the ancient power was aligning itself with her purpose. The warrior felt a calm responsibility as she continued to trace the floating patterns guiding the energy carefully. Amber growled softly and spread its wings to cast a protective aura around the human warrior. The elf woman extended her hands, guiding the light and patterns to strengthen the shield around them. Mira felt a pulse of hope as she realized that the human warrior had achieved a connection that could not be matched by the Emperor or his warriors. The central chamber hummed and vibrated with increasing energy. The walls reflected the glow as the human warrior continued to guide the ancient power. The dragon and the elf woman maintained vigilance, protecting every approach. The alien princess finally felt a sense of peace that the human warrior could be trusted. The Emperor realized that his forces were failing. He had underestimated the calm and steady presence of the human warrior. The light and energy could not be broken by physical force. The elite warriors could not advance, and the fortress itself seemed to reject intrusion without the right intent. Inside the chamber, Lily focused her mind and extended her hands, further tracing the final patterns. She felt the energy respond fully. The symbols floated and moved in harmony with her presence. The dragon and the elf woman maintained the protective flow, while Mira stood in quiet awe, understanding that she had witnessed a human achieve what no other could. The human warrior had begun to awaken the ancient power. The chamber responded to her calm clarity and purpose. The energy flowed into patterns that formed a protective barrier around them. All the Emperor's forces were unable to enter, and the fortress recognized the human warrior as the rightful guide of the ancient power. The alien princess Mira ran through hidden passages in the palace. Her heart pounded as she tried to reach her father. She knew the human warrior Lily was powerful, and feared that if her father ignored the warning, all could be lost. I've seen the calm and steady energy that surrounded Lily, and it made her feel both awe and fear. The Emperor ignored the urgent messages of his daughter. He was proud and stubborn. He believed that no human could threaten his empire. The warships above the moon waited for his command. He planned to claim the ancient power hidden beneath the surface, regardless of the warnings from those around him. In the hidden corridors, Karen guided Lily and Amber through the twisting halls of the fortress. They passed over broken bridges and past chambers, filled with machines that hummed quietly. The dragon Amber stayed close to the human warrior, its eyes glowing faintly, sensing danger from unseen corners. Lily listened carefully to Karen's words. The elf woman explained that the ancient power could only be used by someone with a human heart and mind. Someone who could balance strength and wisdom. The machines and symbols had been created to recognize this energy. The human warrior felt a quiet understanding that she was being chosen for a purpose greater than herself. Mira watched from the shadows as the trio moved closer to the chamber that held the hidden power. She saw Amber extend its wings and felt the warmth of its breath. She could not hide her fear any longer. She felt the urge to step forward and warn the others of approaching danger. She knew the Emperor's forces were near, and that time was short. Lily paused at a junction in the halls. She could feel a presence behind the walls, as if the fortress itself was alive. And watching her, she reached out with her senses to touch the faint pulses of energy that moved beneath the stones. Karen and Amber watched silently, understanding that the human warrior had a connection to the hidden forces that no one else could match. The distant sound of engines reached the halls, as the Emperor's warships began their descent onto the moon. The ground trembled with the vibrations from above. Karen warned Lily that the moon itself would react to the approaching ships. The ancient mechanisms would awaken, and the path to the hidden power would become dangerous. The dragon Amber let out a low, warning hum, ready to defend the group. Mira stepped into the open hall and confronted Lily. Her voice shook as she spoke. She begged the human warrior to be careful, to understand that the Emperor would not stop at anything. She admitted her fear openly, yet she also felt hope, because she sensed that Lily could change the outcome of the coming battle. Lily nodded to Mira, her eyes calm and focused. She reassured the princess that she would protect the hidden power, and that the fortress was not empty. She understood that the fate of many lives depended on their actions. She moved forward, steadily, with Karen and Amber beside her. The walls around them seemed to pulse softly in response to her presence. In the central chamber, Karen guided Lily to the edge of a glowing platform. Ancient symbols floated in the air as if waiting to be touched. The dragon perched on a ledge guarding the entrance, its scales reflecting the soft light from the time platform. The air was heavy with anticipation as the human warrior approached the source of energy. Mira watched closely. She could see the calm determination in Lily's movements. She realized that the human had a power, not of weapons or warships, but of presence and clarity that could influence the ancient forces. The guards and machines responded only to this kind of energy, and the alien princess understood that her fear was slowly changing to respect. Suddenly, the doors to the central chamber burst open. The Emperor's elite warriors entered with their weapons, ready to claim the power. The dragon Amber leaped forward, letting out flames that did not burn the halls, but forced the intruders back. The elf woman, Karen, raised her hands, and the light from the ancient symbols shifted to form barriers to protect the human warrior and the princess. Lily stood firm in the center of the chamber, her presence radiating calm energy. The walls seemed to bend slightly around her. The human warrior moved carefully among the symbols. She touched the floating lights and felt the flow of power connect to her mind. She understood that the ancient machines responded to her purpose and that she could influence their actions. The Emperor watched from the entrance. He did not understand why his forces were being held back by lights and flames. He was filled with anger and disbelief. He ordered more attacks, but the chamber seemed to resist all physical attempts to reach the platform. Mira stepped closer to the human warrior. She admitted her fear once again, but also spoke of hope. She knew that Lily was the key to preventing a disaster that could destroy many worlds. The human warrior listened and nodded in acknowledgement. Understanding that the princess had chosen to trust her, Amber growled softly as more forces tried to enter the chamber. The dragon's presence strengthened. The shields formed by the elf woman. The symbols on the walls shifted and glowed brighter in response to the human warrior's energy. The fortress itself seemed to awaken, recognizing the alignment of purpose and determination within the group. The battle inside the moon fortress became tense, yet controlled. The human warrior moved steadily from symbol to symbol, tracing the ancient patterns with her hands. She felt the energy guiding her, and the machines and symbols responded to her touch. The Emperor's forces were unable to break through the combination of dragon, elf magic, and human connection to the ancient power. Mira observed and learned the calm focus of the human warrior. She felt a quiet admiration grow within her. She realized that fear alone could not stop what was coming, but courage and clarity could influence outcomes beyond the reach of Grest, armies and weapons. Lily paused at the edge of the glowing platform. She took a deep breath and felt the presence of all the ancient forces in the fortress flowing toward her. She knew that the next step would begin the process of awakening the hidden power. She touched the center of the platform, and a soft pulse of light spread across the chamber. The Emperor's forces faltered, unable to resist the growing influence of the human energy. The elf woman Karen stepped beside Lily and nodded. She understood that the human warrior was beginning to activate the ancient forces that could shape the balance of power across the galaxy. The dragon Amber stood alert, ready to act as Karen's guardian, the alien princess. Mira felt the first signs of relief and hope as she witnessed the power of a human heart and mind working in harmony with the ancient energy. The chamber hummed with light and sound as the human warrior continued her slow, deliberate movements. The Emperor's forces outside the chamber realized that they were no longer in control. The energy shifted, the barriers held firm, and the power responded to the human presence alone. Mira finally spoke to her father. She told him that the human warrior could not be ignored, that she must be respected, and that any further attack would risk the destruction of the fortress and the moon. The Emperor hesitated for a moment and saw the truth in his daughter's words. Yet pride and ambition still tugged at him. Inside the central chamber, Lily continued to touch the symbols, her movements gentle yet precise. She could feel the ancient power stirring and awakening. She understood that she must maintain calm, focus, and balance if she wanted to protect the forces and prevent disaster. The dragon Amber kept watch from every angle, ready to defend against unexpected attacks. The alien princess Mira stepped closer to the human warrior. She felt the calm energy and knew that hope was possible. She had feared humans, but now she realized that courage and wisdom could reside in unexpected forms. She joined Karen and Amber, standing as witness to the unfolding power. Outside the fortress, the Emperor considered the warnings he had received, but could not fully grasp the forces at work within the moon. He hesitated. In giving the final orders, the human warrior's calm and controlled presence had already begun to change the course of the battle, and the ancient power had begun to respond only to her guidance. Inside the halls, the energy continued to build the human warrior. The elf woman, the dragon, and the alien princess stood together, forming a protective circle around the growing power. The walls reflected the light, as if alive. The ancient machines hummed in harmony, and the fortress itself seemed to acknowledge the presence of a worthy force that could shape the future of many worlds. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, a shattered moon hung silent among broken stars. The human warrior Lily stepped from her small ship onto the cracked surface. She wore simple armor that reflected faint starlight. Her boots left soft prints on the gray dust, and her eyes searched for signs of life. The air was thin and cold, but she moved with quiet confidence. She had faced worse worlds and survived. Near the center of the moon, a tall elf woman with silver hair, named Karen, waited beside a small dragon. Amber, the elf, had a calm presence and eyes that seemed to see far beyond the present. She noticed Lily approaching and lifted her hand in greeting. The dragon let out a soft hum from its throat. Its scales shimmered faintly under the broken light from the distant stars. Lily paused. She studied Karen and Amber. The air was heavy with tension, as if the moon itself remembered old battles. Karen spoke in a gentle voice, warning the human warrior that the ruins held dangerous secrets. Long buried they had not been, disturbed for centuries. But now, new forces had awakened. The dragon's wings twitched slightly, sensing movement in the dark shadows beyond the ruins. The human nodded and moved closer. She could feel a strange energy in the air. Her steps were careful but firm, She had trained to sense danger, and she could feel the faint pulse of life that was not her own. Karen explained that the alien, Princess Mira, watched them from hidden chambers in the fortress. She was afraid of what Lily could do. Inside the ruined halls, the walls were carved with ancient symbols. Old weapons lay scattered among broken statues. Lily touched a piece of metal. It hummed softly, as if alive. She glanced at Karen and Amber, knowing that they shared her, understanding that this place was not empty. It was waiting for something, and it might be waiting for her. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed in the distance. The human warrior tensed. Guards of the alien princess ran away from the dark corridors. She did not know why they fled, but she kept her calm stance and prepared for any threat. Amber hissed lightly as shadows moved across the broken walls. Karen led Lily to a wide hall, with light streaming from cracks in the ceiling. Ancient machines hummed quietly, as if remembering old commands. The elf explained that these machines had once controlled powerful forces. Now hidden beneath the moon's surface, they were dormant but still dangerous. Karen's voice held quiet respect for the strength that had built these halls centuries ago. As they moved further, Lily saw a faint glow in the distance. She felt drawn to it. It pulsed, softly like a heartbeat. She knew instinctively that this energy was connected to her presence. It called to her, as if recognizing her as part of something greater. Amber flapped its wings and moved closer, protecting the human warrior, while Karen observed the interaction silently. Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. The human warrior adjusted her stance, ready for combat. Amber's scales glimmered, and smoke curled from its nostrils. Karen held her staff tightly, sensing that this rumble was not natural. It came from below the moon. Mira watched from a hidden chamber, her eyes wide with fear. She could feel the power that stirred, and it frightened her more than any human weapon she had seen. The guards were too weak to face what was coming, and they could not stop. The human warrior, she realized that this human was different than others she had known in the galaxy. Lily stepped into the central hall. She felt the cold touch of stone and the faint warmth of old machines. Her fingers traced the carvings. They told stories of battles long gone, and victories that shaped the world. She understood that she had arrived at a turning point that could decide the fate of many planets. Amber's eyes glowed softly as the dragon sensed the approach of more forces. The elf woman spoke quietly to the human warrior, explaining that the moon held a secret that many had tried to claim, but failed. The secret could change the moon, balance of power across the stars, if it fell into the wrong hands. The human warrior nodded, understanding the importance. She had been chosen to face trials that no other could endure. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. The air seemed to hum around her, and the walls reflected a soft light, like they were watching her. Outside the fortress, the alien emperor prepared his warships. He did not understand the fear in his daughter, Mira's voice. She begged him to stop and warned him that the human warrior could not be ignored. The emperor was proud, and, stubborn, he refused to listen and sent more forces to the moon, ready to claim the hidden power. Inside the ruins, Karen guided Lily toward a massive door carved with strange symbols. It seemed to respond to their presence. The dragon perched on a nearby ledge, ready to defend the human warrior. If needed, the air vibrated, as if the door sensed a destiny unfolding. Mira watched and felt helpless. She wanted to protect her world, but she also feared the human warrior, who seemed calm in the face of danger. She realized that fear and respect were merging within her, as she saw Lily approach the door with unwavering determination. The human warrior paused for a moment. She felt the heartbeat of the moon beneath her feet. She sensed the energy flowing through the walls, and the faint whispers of old power reaching for her. She touched the door, and it slowly opened, revealing a chamber bathed in soft light. The air was alive with energy. It hummed like it had been waiting for someone who could wield it responsibly. Karen stepped aside, allowing Lily to enter. First Amber followed with a low growl in case of threat. The hall stretched before them, filled with unknown machines and glowing symbols. The human warrior felt a calm clarity she had never experienced before. It was as if the energy recognized her purpose and welcomed her presence. Mira took a deep breath and made a choice. She revealed herself from the shadows. She stepped into the open hall. She felt fear but also a strange hope. She knew that the human warrior might be the key to saving her world from endless war. Outside the fortress, the Emperor's warships closed in, ready to take what they believed was rightfully theirs, but inside the halls, the human warrior, the elf woman, the dragon, and the alien princess were preparing to face challenges that would test courage, wisdom, and strength in ways no one had ever imagined.